Okay, just there's no presentation about me. So my name is François Proux. I lead the application security for the Safe Identity division of McAfee. Well, used to be Intel just a few weeks ago. So I'll be presenting one of the challenges that I made for last year's NorthSec. And it's, as you can see, it's a challenge about collisions, unusual collisions, actually hash collisions, so MD5 collisions. Okay, so a little bit of context so you understand what we're doing here. If you go back to the beginning of the night when Olivier explained that at NorthSec we benefit from being an on-site CTF, and that we're very heavily oriented towards a scenario where we put the participants in the mindset of all the challenges are made into a cohesive idea that drives you towards a scenario. And last year, the participants were into a fake bakery called the Markus Madison Bakery, and they were essentially pen testers that were hired by this bakery to perform various tests. And if we go back to this very challenge, the idea before the challenge, we were leading the participants into a code review challenge. So the strawberry Strudel Maker, again in the context of the bakery, was very clearly identified as a code review to those pen testers, the participants, of the update manager of the Strudel Maker. If you're interested in learning more after I describe the walkthrough, basically I'm going to walk through the challenge as you would have solved it. You can go on GitHub and get more details. So this is what the Strudel Maker looked like as a participant. So you were given a URL. Well, obviously this is running locally when I did the presentation, but you would have like Strudel Maker.bakery something. You would see a very simple HTML page, nothing, no HTML form, no buttons, no JavaScript, so like pretty simple in terms of web vulnerability, nothing interesting. So you're gonna dive into the source code. Again, very simple source code. What you may notice that is of interest is two things. You notice the static folder where the image is located at, so something to keep in mind and maybe dig into that folder. And comments, typical of staged challenges. Challenge designers may put hints, so please read those. This is, it's there for you to read. So carefully parsing the comment, you're going to see, okay, secure management area, it can be enabled. So okay, so definitely there is something of interest to enable to go further in the challenge. So if we look at this static folder, sometimes there are easy challenges. This is not one of those, but you could try harder. So if you go back to that comment, you would be able to guess, given a few keywords in that hint, that if you pass a parameter in the URL, you can unlock some special feature of the application. And then when you enable it, you then start to have something interesting from a web app vulnerability perspective. You get an HTML form where you can post various parameters. And you discover a new endpoint, the upload new license file. Again, we're doing a code review of the update system. Okay, forget what happened. Okay, so we kind of need to do a bit of guessing. That's, as a challenge designer, often, that's kind of the behind the scenes, the thing that challenge designers think in their head. It's like, okay, I'm gonna do an MD5 challenge. Okay, just doing an MD5 challenge is too easy, so I'm gonna try to hide it in several layers of something before they even know that it's an MD5 challenge. So that's this part. Okay, so so you find the way to enable the form, and you can see that there's some special parameters. The debug parameter that is default to false, so probably interesting to make it true. So if you go back to with this parameter, you can see that by default the div here is display none, just to troll people a bit more. By default, the form is going to be hidden, so you can with DevTools make it visible, and then you can upload a file. So you start the challenge by uploading a random file just to see how the server behaves, and then if you forgot to put the debug to true, you get nothing. But if you make it debug true, then you get extra hint. So you get the license file must have a certain name, license validator.py. So already gives you a hint that the challenge, the web app running the challenge is in Python. And you get that it's expecting that the license file must match an exact MD5 that is pinned in the code. So already, like, you look at this, say, okay, well, I'm gonna need to upload, to kind of craft a certain license file to go further in the challenge, and it has to match an exact MD5 value. How am I gonna do that if I don't have that file? So again, you remember that static folder? Well, maybe we need to look at it now that we know a specific file name. And okay, so this is kind of first part of the challenge, how to go through the looking at the source code. You discover the hidden parameter, you make visible the form, you try uploading some file, nothing happens, you enable the debug mode, and you get another hint about what the application is expecting. Now that you know the expected file name, you discover that in the static file folder there is a copy of that special license validator. How handy. Okay, so you look at it, like right away you notice this non-printable characters array. Very suspicious. You start doing your code review and you realize that, yeah, it's doing some kind of license MD5 key pinning. So again, more hinting towards maybe this is related to MD5. And also very important to read every single line. You have more hints from the challenge designer about chief cryptographer, a certain name of an academic that is well known for MD5 collision. So you may find academic papers that are really about MD5 collisions. So you start to head towards MD5 collision challenge. So if you take this file, you MD5 the content of the file locally, and what the coincidence, it happens to be the exact value that is expected. So okay, you upload that file, what happens? Nothing, because basically it's the version that is currently running. And if you look at the code, you see that in the default mode, the license gets validated and the application runs normally, but there's nothing of interest, except you notice the second part of the validation routine has a else with a handy command injection. So obviously this is staged for the challenge, but if the license validation fails, you go in that extra bit of code, which is directly a command injection. So as a participant, you notice that, and you know that this is your goal, this is what you want to do command injection. And how are you going to do command injection? It's by changing the value of C in the function, and you want to hit to make the if condition false to hit the else branch. How are you going to do that? Well, to make the if condition false, you need the condition not to match the MD5 that is pinned in the file itself. Okay, this is starting to be a bit recursive. The file itself is checking its own value. So again, you go back to that strange looking part with the non-predictable characters, and if you look at the academic papers, you realize that you're looking at a chosen prefix collision, type of collision, which means that the first part of the file is sort of fixed. That part of file with the garbage is the collision bytes itself, followed by, again, something that is the same. So you can change slightly the collision bytes and end up with two files that have the same exact MD5 hash, but that are actually different from a, let's say, SHA-1 or SHA-2 perspective. So clearly the content of the file is different, but they have the same MD5 hash value. So again, if that's the case, then you may end up hitting the else branch. How are you going to do that? So, again, with all those hints that were given in the code, you start looking at various tools that are out there or academic papers. You do see that there's a few tools such as HashClash, which is extremely powerful, and you can do more exhaustive types of collision, not just purely chosen prefix, but it literally requires a GPU and like hundreds of dollars of compute time on Amazon. So in the context of a CTF, that's probably not what we're looking. We don't want you to spend hundreds of dollars and wait hours and hours to solve the challenge. So you indeed look at this special type of conditions called the chosen prefix collisions, and voila, like this challenge happens to be fitting this exact set of conditions. So you look at this, and again, with looking at this academic paper, you're going to find a handy tool called Fast Collision by Mark Stevens, which happens to be the same guy that did the recently found the SHA-1 chosen prefix collisions a few months ago. So using fastcall, you can find the source code in C, and if you look at how it behaves, unfortunately the way it works is just you give it a prefix, is going to generate two files that have the collision. It's the two files different content with both the MD5, but you cannot control the second. You cannot control the first one. So it's just generating two random files every time you call it. So that's not very useful to you because you want it to be exactly that license validator in Python. So you need to modify the fastcall source code. Obviously there are maybe other ways to solve the challenge, but this is the easiest and fastest way to solve it. And there was, I think, 2 teams that solved it out of, what, 40 teams? And that's how they solved it. Like they happened to find that source code, they modified it, and they were able to solve it. So if you go and modify slightly the code, you realize that actually the only thing that matters is those 2 lines. That's where the collision bytes are generated. And you can just make it so that the block here is, you can pass it as a command line parameter, and then you can solve it. So just to prove that it worked, after you do the collision, you have those 2 files, the normal one and the solved one, that have the same MD5 hash, but they're actually different from SHA-1 perspective. You can look at the actual hex dump. They're actually different just in the collision part. And then once you have that evil license validator, the one that allows you to go in the else condition and do the command injection. You can upload it and do command injection. Just either do a ls and you see the list of files, you see that the flag.txt is present and you cat it and you solve the challenge. Any question?
How many hours do you spend to create this challenge?
To craft the challenge?
Yeah,
to make it?
Create it.
To create it? Well, initially I had the idea, Laurent gave me the idea, he was like, hey, you know, there's, we can probably do a MD5 collision, and I was like, okay, yeah, I can probably do that. So I thought for a while, I tried a few things, and that's when I realized that I would have this kind of recursive problem where I need to make my file valid and like self-validate if I wanted this if-else condition to work or like to trip. So that was a bit of a challenge at first, but once I figured out the kind of the pattern to make the whole thing, I guess one afternoon to craft it but it took me a few nights before of not sleeping to kind of, how am I going to do that? But once I had the idea, I just like sat down and did it. But as far as from a participant perspective, yeah, 2 teams solved it, and I think they spent 5 or 6 hours at least on it. So yeah.
We're almost done. Thank you. You've been strong to stay with us all that time and through all that, you know, binary stuff, and really strong people here. So yeah, I'll just finish talking about NorthSec 2017 quickly. So since you guys are close by, I think some of you might be interested in coming. This is what it looks like, the CTF floor. So it's a really large on-site CTF, lots of variety of people participating, professionals, students, people that loves it. For the kick, we have developers, people in security, we have Secret Service, military people, a lot of different kinds of people. We have a hardware badge, sorry about that, hardware badge. So in 2015, we had 1 per team. And last year we had 1 for everyone. The badge is used as a token and a credential, so to show that you paid your fees. So everyone went out with a hardware badge. Looks like that. This is what I'll give to the 2 first questions in a few minutes. It has a Tamagotchi feature. It needs to be fed with beer. We had a a Bluetooth antenna at the bar, so whenever you come close to the bar, your kitty would get beer, and you need to clean his poo. And if your Tamagotchi survived for 24-hour consecutive 24-hour, you would get a flag. So this was one easy flag if you take care of your badge. Problem is, we had power issues with the badge, so some battery would flip off, even though it's charged. So you had to keep it plugged constantly if you wanted to be sure to win, and clean the poo even during the night. Yeah. So we built 600 of them. We had a dead rate of about 100. Chinese manufacturing. So this is the features on it quickly. We have 2 ARM controller. One is the Bluetooth chip and the other one is a STM32. It does Bluetooth, low energy, full stack USB, so you can emulate a keyboard with it and stuff like that. Has a touch button, OLED display, lithium battery soldered in, so it's a pretty powerful device. All the source code is on GitHub, or NorthSec GitHub. It's pretty cool. We also, during NorthSec, did some bread. So this is kind of one of the advantage of an on-site competition. We did sourdough, you know, homemade sourdough. We kind of multiplicated our yeast ourselves, and it's a strain of one of the organizers. And so we gave a whole leaf bread to Each team was fresh and hot, you know, and so this is kind of the side effect, nice side effects of doing this kind of stuff. I let the video play through, yeah, it was tasty, had a nice crust. Oh, I forgot to mention, the whole event is open bar throughout the week. So we have craft brew from a local brewery. It's all included in the price of the ticket. We close the bar at like, I think 1 or 2 a.m., something like that. Kick everyone out, and then we open at 8. When the bartender arrives at like 11, we open it again, and here we go. The conference aspect of it. So, why did we want to do another InfoSec conference? Well, we figured that there was an area that was not covered in Montreal and the east of Canada, which is a technical, kind of international level technical conference. So we want to focus really on the technical and hands-on aspect. So, trying to accomplish this, we added workshop this year. So we have 1 track of talks and 1 track of workshops. Workshops are between 2 and 3 hours of hands-on work, laptop required, and stuff like that. It's all included in the price of the conference, so it's kind of mini training. Our keynote is a Richard theme, talking about psychology, a famous speaker, spoke at DEF CON several times, stuff like that. We have James Kettle from the Burp research team. Babak Javadi, a tool guy, good in the alarm systems, reverse engineering. Thomas Pornan, who is the Bear SSL guy. Also really the leader in the InfoSec stack exchange on cryptography related questions. We also have analysts from the Privacy Office of Canada who's going to do a talk, and this is just one of the few people we've been able to attract to our conference. The training that we have, we are still selling them for a week or 2. We have a malware and memory forensics training given by the author of The Art of Memory Forensics and the Malware Analyst Cookbook. I've been working personally to attract one of the volatility guys for 2 years, and now he finally agreed to come. So I'm really stoked to have a worldwide trainer be in Montreal for this. We have also Philippe Artaud, who is a very strong web application security guy, known worldwide, found problems on Google Chrome, Dropbox, PayPal, Runkeeper, won bounties on these products, presented at Black Hat USA and stuff. He's doing a 3-day training on advanced web application security. So server-side template injection, XXE, Java serialization, deserialization vulnerabilities, all that kind of good stuff. So it should be another really interesting training. And the training session includes full access to the conference, so it's free compared to like Black Hat, where you need to pay additionally to get access to the conference. We have lunch, coffee, refreshments, and a private networking event between the students and the organizers, the 2 training together, so it should be really interesting also for networking. Finally, NorthSec features social events. We have a Hacker Jeopardy. I'm the host of the Hacker Jeopardy, and I write all the questions. And this year I update our board, our game board. We used to use an old Perl TK software made from the Hacker Jeopardy from the CCC camp in Germany. And now I decided to write a modern version after having people laugh at my board for 5 years. And now we're like fancy Flask, Socket.io, WebSockets kind of stuff with animations, and I'm still programming it. It's almost done. And it's open to the public, so if you happen to be in the Montreal area and don't want to come to NorthSec, you can come, and it's a very fun, energetic event, and since we have an open bar, it happens to be really, really entertaining and funny, because the people on stage can be coerced into drinking and stuff like that. Everyone's can choose not to drink, there's no forced consumption. We are a really inclusive event. It's too large for parties, the ceiling is too high, so we try to move our party this year to another location. And we'll see how it goes, but it will be bar open, there will be like pinball machines like these. I forgot the name in English, but you'll be able to play Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man, and stuff like that during the event, and so it should be pretty cool. Sponsors and partners, this slide just shows that we are supported by a lot of people, but the key point about sponsors is we want to say to everyone we're a not-for-profit organization, and we are really believing in never being sold out for sponsors. So there will be no ever NorthSec presented by sponsor, so it will always be NorthSec is presented by its volunteers who invest a lot of their time, so we will not sell out this piece as something someone can buy. We did not exchange emails or contact information in exchange for money. We know every year someone asks us to do that and we refuse, and we know a lot of the conferences monetize this way, and we think you should know that you know we're really hard on this kind of topic. We refuse a sponsor also based on gender discrimination. For example, Red Bull wanted to come and give us Red Bull. We say, we ask, will it be only like the Red Bull girls? They say yes. We asked, do you have Red Bull boys? They said no, we don't have Red Bull boys. They say, well, then you can't come to our event, give us Red Bull, we don't want it. We have our call for paper is for everyone. There's no sponsor talks, so if you happen to be CrowdStrike guy or you know FireEye and want to have a talk, then you know submit something and win based on merit, not on money. So I think I stretched it for long enough, but this is pretty much the key thing about sponsoring and why we're hard and really trying to have it as a community event. So this is part of the team. There's a few people missing, but not that much, so you can see a lot of the faces behind NorthSec. Funny bunch of guys and girls. And your speaker tonight, well, Olivier Bilodeau, myself, Laurent Desaulniers, François Proux, who is here, and Charles. So do not hesitate to come and talk to us. We are going to stick around to go for beer for a few hours, and then head back to Montreal to work tomorrow. But yeah, Charles driving, so I'm okay. But yeah, so thank you OWASP for the opportunity. I want to say that we have a 10% off everything, including training, exclusive ticket for you. So this string here, this is your first flag. This flag here is good on our Eventbrite system. Gives you 10% off. Seriously, sorry man. Maybe you could write to registration and they'll do something about it. So yeah, thank you for your time. And I think Nick actually wants to have 2 minutes with you, but for us, NorthSec, we're done. And after he's done, we'll go to questions, and I'll have the badge to give out. And I encourage people to play with it. So if you ask a question and win a badge, don't put it in, you know, in your... Glass case. Yes, exactly, a glass case or something. They cost us like, oh yeah, go ahead. They cost us like $30 cost each. So it's quite expensive, and then this year's badges are even more so. Yeah, I think I spoiled that we have badges this year.
So, hello, good night, thanks for sticking around. I'll make this quick because I'm pretty sure we're all a bit tired, but whatever. So, actually in the last 2 days, I'm going to say some pretty interesting things has happened, and Sharif has allowed us very generously to talk about this for a minute because we do want to compliment the OWASP and what they've done for the security community in Ottawa, because it's pretty much been the only meetup we've had. And in the last few weeks, I would say there's been kind of an organic growth that's happening for kind of a DEF CON Ottawa group, where we're not just about security, but we're also about like hackers and we're a hack space. And so we really wanted to create this situation where we just have a place where we can meet, and we could do exactly, actually, it's really funny what Olivier was talking about, which is we meet up once a month, and we try to hack away at things, and we can meet more frequently. At the moment, we're still finalizing details on our first meetup, but we're partnering with people from Hackfest to have an online CTF on June 10th, and we would have a talk during the day. So the details are coming up for that, but we do have some stuff that's firmed up. But the idea is we just want to invite everyone to join us, and it doesn't matter your level of expertise. We have pretty much everything, something for everyone. And we do kind of, as you can see, we're just trying to work on more on a hands-on approach. So we're really going to be working on toying with things, making stuff, breaking stuff. And we do have a location for all that, but at the same time, while we're while we're kind of finalizing details on the first meetup, I'll just let you know that the people that are organizing this, there's only a few of us, but as you can see, we've had some very interesting people from a variety of backgrounds. I'm not going to go into biographies, but I think that some of you might know a bit of them. But if you see us, don't be afraid to approach us, and if you have any questions, let us know. Hopefully this works. This was really the main important part. So this is a QR link that should technically somehow turn into an invite link for our Slack channel. So currently we have about like 60 members in the Slack channel from people from Ottawa. But go ahead and get in on there, and we're always hanging out. And the idea we want to have a community where we can constantly chat, and any time of meetup or groups that we have, that was not going to be in conflict obviously with OWASP, because we do dearly love them and they've been so generous with everything. This is to complement it, I believe, and it's something that we want to get as many people as we can involved, because we do believe that having hands-on, practical experience and a place to consistently do it will be very advantageous to our community. So thank you very much. My name is Nick Charbon, as you know, and if you have any questions, come and see me, but do join our Slack channel to get anything you want from there. So thank you very much once again.
Oh yeah, leave it up. Sure. I also have stickers on the table, so anyone who wants stickers, come and grab them after we're done. Yes, question.
When does your CFP finish? When is
Oh, that's a good question.
It finished on
It's done?
No, not April. It's sooner. It's March 15th, I think. April 30th? April 30th.
Is it open or closed?
Oh, it's closed. Yeah, it's closed. The conference is in 3 weeks. Our schedule is online, full final schedule. But that's a good question. You can come and grab a badge. I charged them during the long presentation, so I think they'll be charged. You want to have...
Let the participants have the badge.
All right. So another question? But yeah, we encourage you to submit to next year's CFP. I can also do a call for training. Just contact me, and I'm interested in hearing more about trainers. Yes?
More of a management question for, sorry, for with me, confusing over there. Given, when you're doing this at CTF, how do you manage, especially near the end when tensions are high, how do you manage different personalities, different conflicts? You had mentioned they do psychological tricks to get more stress by hiding the scores and stuff like that. So how do you manage...
So I'll repeat the question for the video, but how do you manage stress or the psychology of a team?
So the first thing you need to remember, and it's difficult for all of us, is in the end we're doing it for fun. And of course we're all being competitive, we're all working really, really hard. Having a good team leader and knowing when to take breaks is really, really what I recommend. And in the end, if you don't win, I mean, it's really a game. We're really here to have fun, and that's all I can tell you. It's a boring answer, but it's the truth, really.
For multi-day events, showering is really important. Some people tend to forget. Shower. Good question. Yes?
Do you have a list of good CTF sites where you can go to practice?
So we're gonna plug Charles' site. So when I told that anecdote in Montreal, I forgot here. So when Charles approached me saying, hey, I think I can build an online CTF site, I was like, dude, there's a ton of them online, you know, how will you be able to compete with that? And he's built an amazing resource. I'm kind of jealous I haven't done it first, because he's accumulating. He has this feature where you can exchange, so you have your points, but in exchange for a write-up. So if you submit a good, solid write-up, you get gold, so you have points and gold, and he's been giving gold to a lot of people, which is of course, I mean, nothing, or like, fame points, but then he sees the techniques he has to approve the write-ups, and so he sees the various ways to approach problems, and it gives also hints that people can buy in exchange of coins. So it's a really clever online system. The site is RingZer0 Team.com. So 0 with a capital 0, but Google is your friend here. It's okay, you can't trust him on any computer. Go ahead. Give him a terminal, no problem. Run it as admin, even better. Yeah, sudo on a Mac. But yeah, so of course his site is good. There's other stuff like Smash the Stack is pretty popular. There are Enigma online. I've heard on actually the MontriHack website we have a online learning tab where we list a few of them. But RingZer0 covers a lot of stuff, and there is a Slack in the community, so you can ask questions, and you can also ask SHA. It's pretty approachable. So yeah, so this is the site. And there is a ton of different challenges.
Yeah, so basically we're almost at 300 challenge. We're getting close to more than 17,000 players all around the world. Funny fact, this guy is the SQL map guy. So I had the chance to meet a lot of cool people, and actually because of that website, there's a team from Germany that flew to Montreal for NorthSec last year and gonna be there this year too. As you mentioned, you can submit write-up and you actually earn coin that you can use to buy in for other challenge. Also the Slack may help you. And there's a lot of categories actually, you can probably click on it. So that's pretty much all the challenge that you have. So you have coding challenge, cryptography, forensic, jail escaping, JavaScript, malware analysis, poundage, reverse engineering, shell coding, SQL injections, steganography, sysadmin Linux, and web challenges. So there's pretty much everything that you can find to cover classic CTF challenges. There's some issue, like maybe the downside of running a CTF online challenge, you get pwned all day long. Basically, I'm using sandboxes for most of the challenges, but some of them are not updatable because they're way too broken on purpose. So it happened that the sandbox are rooted, but the website itself never got pwned yet. But I don't have any information. Basically, I'm just asking for email and a username. That's why I decided to not get any information from you. The email is just for password reset. That's pretty much the idea.
One more thing, if you're looking for even more websites, there's a site called CTF-style that has all the CTFs every week, and you have a write-up, you have so many more information, so you might also wish to look on CTF-style. I think it's ctf-style.org.
Although the guys running it got in some drama a few weeks ago about ICTF, about cheating. Alright, so thank you everyone for your presence and your energy, and I'm amazed to see... Oh, okay.
Yeah. See,
Yes.
So these are just the examples just to play around, right? So is there any chance when you are just trying to solve those problems, like a malware problem, you yourself, your machine get infected? And what do you do to protect yourself? Or like you get a malware, the real world one, not the game one, not the just for understanding purpose. How do you approach it on your machine and you save your machine from getting infected?
So you don't do any... okay. As you do more and more CTF, people get loosen up on their security, and they forget about doing everything in a virtual machine. But the real advice is for everyone, whenever you're doing reverse engineering or binary or have to execute foreign code, always do it in a VM as sealed as possible. Does it need a network? No, seal it and work from there. Of course, maintaining virtual machines with the proper tool to do dynamic analysis can take a while, but there's a Linux distribution with a lot of those tools pre-installed. I think it's called Remnux, and I happen to be building Mailboxes, which is a tool that does Windows virtual machines for malware analysis, a free tool on GitHub. I personally would recommend everyone to use VMs, but you can use one VM per CTF, so you don't have to carry like 8 VMs around. But again, from experience, you'll see a lot of people like forget those basic security roles and run binaries that you're like, oh, did you just run this? And yeah, I guess it's the more professionals probably have dirty machines only for CTFs and they don't bring it back home or they wipe it or I don't know. But it's definitely something to be really cautious about. Other questions? Right, thank you so much.